Welcome everybody to the Art of Ideas. We're just going to do a really short little pick ad stream. I was working at this just a few hours ago. Took a nap, got a whole 3 hours of sleep today. That's fun. But I woke up excited to get back into this piece. I promise you guys we're going to work on a different one today, and we are. This is just me waking up and seeing the next day and having fresh eyes on it. And this glaze down here is actually dry from 2 days ago, and I still have a lot of wet paint that I was throwing in here last night. And in the last couple hours I've been throwing in a little bit of contrast up in this corner and picking out some sky holes and trying to make this whole thing live. I just realized I didn't have my mic on my shirt. Anyway, yeah, we're just gonna do a quick half hour. I have things to do here, and then I'm gonna be back in a few hours post dinner, and we're gonna work on something else. It's gonna be a heck of a lot of fun tonight. We're gonna do at least a few hours, maybe 4 hours of streaming today, and I can't wait. Can't wait to get on the next piece, and I'm not even sure which one it's gonna be, so that'll be a surprise. Maybe I'll grab a big old juicy colorful piece 3 or 4 times bigger than this, and we'll screw around with that. That'll be a lot of fun. I think that might be our goal tonight. You won't be able to see the entire piece at once, so I'm gonna have to move the camera around, and we'll work in certain areas. But right now, since I have this guy still on my easel and it's bugging me, and I'm just picking at areas that I can. We're 3 days of working on a oil painting in a row, so there's a lot of wet, and I try not to work into tacky areas. So we're going to try and play around in areas where we can get away with some murder here. See what we can do. We're sneaking this stuff in. It's going to be super fun, and I don't even know where I'm going to go. I'm mixing up a really dark green right now, so I guess we're going to go into some green. Didn't have a plan on that, so yeah. And that's kind of a dark green, so we're gonna... It's funny, you can have a color that looks dark in one area and it looks light in another, and you can get a lot of traction with that, and it'll help hold your piece together. It's a lot of fun. And I'm really seeing a lot of areas in the foreground that I really want to darken. So I'm actually going to try and take a version of that color I just mixed and make a much darker version of it. And to do that, I'm mixing a little warm color with my blue, which is phthalo and ultramarine, mixing those together to get kind of a neutral, and then a little magenta in it to get it a little dark. Pretty easy. And ooh, yeah, really dark. There we go. I'm gonna sneak this in. Actually, I'm gonna just screw it. I'm gonna go across this other thing that's in the foreground. Why make it hard? We're gonna go back to this anyway. Have to straighten this area out. Make sure I can even see that on the camera. Maybe I'll move it just a touch. There we go. And yeah, fun, happy times. Playing in the sun. Artificial sun in this case. Being it's a painting and all. Just trying to get these really confident strokes in anymore. Helps when you know where you're going, where you want to end up. That way you're not taking that journey in futility. Sometimes I'm focusing on what I'm doing and not what I'm saying. All right, it's good to know where you're going. And it's crazy, I have so much dark down here. Why add more dark to it? Well, dark makes the light shine. Since we're getting down into a shadow here, I'm just simplifying some forms. Simplify, simplify, simplify. And pull out more detail as we go. Yeah. So tonight's stream should be a lot of fun. It'll be post-dinner. It'll probably be around somewhere around 6:37, possibly 8 p.m. Pacific time tonight, if anybody wants to catch back up with me. Most likely, you guys will see this retroactively. Jeez. Man, I'm always half asleep. Don't sleep much. I was thinking about getting back into work. Work, as Mel Brooks would say. Love that guy. Can't believe he's still alive. It's a fantastic thing. Humanity's really going to miss him. Every time I see him in an interview, which has been a while, a couple years, but every time you see that guy, he is so full of energy. That's why he's lasted so long. You gotta keep that energy, I think, in life, that excitement. You have to have something to live for. It's what keeps most people alive. Look what happens to retirees. You lose all your passion and a reason to be someplace every day, and yeah, time starts catching up with you. Catches up with all of us eventually. They can fend it off by having a purpose in life every day. So I'm just instinctively going around picking out stuff for fun. It's just setting up the next session, you know. Always setting up the next session. Always just trying to do the best with the time that we have, and make that time effective. Try not to waste our time. Which I admit I do way too much with painting, in the sense that I like getting experimental and sketchy with stuff, and then sometimes that backfires. And I mean, I'll never change. I'll never stop experimenting. That would be like the death of purpose behind this, which is to constantly explore and get better and try new things. So sometimes that puts you into a wall. Like when you try new things, sometimes things don't work out, but you'll never find out what'll work if you're afraid to try. I keep adding blue to this. Sometimes when I mix up paint, I don't put it out as much as I should. I'm pretty conservative. It's easy to put out more than I'd rather put more out than waste it. You know, that just makes sense. I think that makes sense. Throwing some indications of some real dark color in here. This is really going to pull this foreground forward. Make the foreground forward. It usually helps. You can cheat it sometimes. Sometimes you'll see professional painters work where they cheat the rules, but that's because they know exactly what they're doing, and it's beautiful when you can. So yeah, we're just gonna go for like 30 minutes. I have to cook dinner, so yeah, I'm on the clock. But I'm super excited to get back into to doing some streaming. Every time I do it, I'm hungry for more. I want to do it more the next day, so I think that's a good sign. I really want to project positivity as much as possible in life. The sound in the background just changed. It's because my TV's glitching out. For some reason it does this where it loses signal with my HDMI cable. I have no idea why it happens.
see if I can fix that really quick. I don't want to waste too much time playing around with my technical difficulties. Turn the TV off, turn it back on, see if we can get our sound back. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. All right. I'm going straight paint right now. I don't have any medium out. I'm just picking. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was just thinking about maybe going under her foot here a little bit and try and refine that outer shape a little. It's gonna go into her little pinky toe. Do the step. Toes, they step up. So boop, boop, knuckle. Make sure it's about the right size. So I have her foot coming forward. It looks absolutely enormous compared to her head. I have kind of a real forced perspective going on here, obviously, and I don't know how well that comes off because, yeah, it's my own work. It's effective to me, but I don't know if it sells it to other people. I'll find out when I go to try and sell the sucker. Let's try and carve in this dark, and in a minute, probably start pulling out some more light. Maybe give her a witch toe. That means this next toe down from the big toe is going to be a little bit longer than the big toe. No, it's something. It's not right, but it's something. Yeah. It's a little better. Work on these proportions a little bit. I need to get brave and start throwing these hands in so I can work on correcting them. Because it can take a while to get hands right. And since I have several sessions left on this, I probably should invest in the time to get going on the hands so I have all those sessions, forthcoming sessions, to fix my inevitable screw-ups. It's funny how a camera on your back is like fire under your butt. I feel like I work a lot faster when there's a camera pointed at my back. That's all I mean, yeah. Which is great. It's helping me get shit done. So I'll go back and get super finicky with all this area from the background to the foreground, and the grass is always a bit of a challenge, I find, so. It's actually probably one of the areas of the painting I work on the most, because it's the furthest forward, and so it garners some attention. You don't want to get too lazy in your foreground or it'll really show up. You can get a little lazy in your background, but I try not to get lazy anywhere. Sometimes implied detail is one thing. When you're implying detail, there's nothing wrong with implying detail and saving yourself some work. This piece is pretty impressionistic in terms of its strokes, so there's a lot in here that can be implied. It imparts a certain freedom. That's why I'm really enjoying working this way. And you can really see the effort in every stroke. I was going through here after last night's session, and I said I would. You turn off the camera, you see something, you jump back up. I started pulling a little bit more saturation into these sky holes in the tree. And about half an hour ago, I was going around working in this area, darken this up, put more saturation into these purples and these reds, going into these oranges and yellows, and I want it to be really subtle. And then it's flowing, that background's flowing into the tree. And I'm creating a little bit of separation of light and contrast with the complementaries here. Warmer colors going into cooler colors, warm versions of cool colors here on the edge that lets them live well together, and then goes into the cool. And I started popping out just a little indications of maybe some of the sky showing through, because you don't want a cookie cutter edge on a tree. Yeah, unless you want it to be that way. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. Apparently we just got our music back and it's a little on the loud side, isn't it? Yeah. It's doing a refresh. Yeah. There we are. Now we have our stream up so we can see how bad we're doing. It's like looking in a mirror with a 7-second delay. Oh, way too dark. Whoops. Forgot what color I had on my brush there. No big deal. It's only paint, never stress, so you can always paint over it. Even if you get really thick, you can always paint over it. Just kissing some dark green into these blues and purples over here. Just touch. Just breathing on it. Even if you're being extreme with subject matter, color, composition, what really sells it is the subtlety. It sounds like a contradiction, but you can get extreme with your colors or your composition, but I still like soft edges, I still like flow, I still like everything kind of working together, kissing each other, embracing, hugging. I was talking about embracing in the last stream a lot. Just that feeling of continuity and relationship. Yeah. So this is just really warm up, and you know, even though I'm going to work on another piece later, a few hours from now, still good to get the engine running, you know, get the race car warming up, and this is a great way of doing it. Just pulling some inspiration off the prior session from yesterday. One thing I'm trying to be conscientious of is the length of these grass blades here. While I'm making them huge in the foreground, and I'm actually setting up some stuff for where I'm going to have some flowers. So, you know, maybe I'll have a huge flower right here. I just scratched that. That was silly. So maybe I'll have a huge flower here, and then have them kind of falling off into the distance. And I'm already starting to kind of imply in the middle ground here between the foreground, the background mountains, I'm slowly starting to indicate maybe just some patches of color, some more saturated color to play off these greens that will be like right here. You can barely see it, but I've got a little pink in here. Don't know how much you can see of that on camera, but we'll zoom in here in a few minutes, and we'll just do a close-up of this before I end this short stream so we can get an appraisal of it, and then we're going to bury this guy for 2-3 days to give it ample time to set up, to get a little dry on it. I have a few kind of thicker strokes in, because it's yellow, at least it's yellow, it might take a few days to dry. It's a funny thing about oil paint is that certain colors will dry at different rates. It has a lot to do with the composition of whatever rare earth or wherever that pigment came from. Cadmium colors, you know, for example, can go either way, I find. I don't know. Sometimes it seems like they take forever, and sometimes it seems like they dry fast. It just depends on what color it is. like cadmium yellow, to me, it seems it just takes a while to dry. Whereas if you had umber, raw umber or burnt umber, that dries very, very quickly. I would say at like 4 times the rate of, say, yellow. So it helps make it a good supporting medium for doing underpainting. Now, there's a lot of reasons that Renaissance painters used to paint the way they did. One of those reasons, and the most obvious, is that they didn't have tubes of paint. They had to mix all their paint by hand. And those rare earths that they were using to make their paint, or bone, or they were very clever about how they got color. How they manufactured their color. They used all kinds of sources. Restricting, like yellow, a certain yellow, I forget the name of the yellow, was made by restricting cattle's water so that when they would urinate, it would come out very, 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 very dark yellow. And they would take that urine and then let it evaporate over and over and over again, and then take that concentrated acid and mix it with linseed oil and make a yellow paint out of it. As crazy as that sounds. One I heard the other day that was really interesting, I'd never heard before, was mummy brown. They used to take Egyptian mummies and grind them up to make brown. How silly is that? But hey, they did whatever they could at the time with the technology that they had. And it was obviously a very, very different culture at that time. They obviously didn't put a high value on mummies at that time. Or at least the artist didn't, except for his paint. And you'll see me going back and forth here. My strategy is really just to fill it out as I go. A lot of artists are more calculated, and I appreciate that, where they can really focus on, say, getting all their darks in, and they'll just work until they get all their darks done, and it looks beautiful with all their darks. And they'll go in and they'll add their mid-tones or whatever direction they want to work. Me, I'm a little bit more, I just follow my emotion, you know. What seems fun to paint on? What area of the painting am I jiving with? What part of it is going to help improve it in that session to the point that it will excite me to go on to the next? And you can work out the hard problems as you go. You don't have to focus on the hard problems all at once. That's why I kind of like working that way. You can have a little frustration, a little fun all in the same session. You don't have to frustrate yourself. If you do, you're probably just going to stop. You know, you're not going to continue. You're not going to persevere. You really don't want to put roadblocks in your way. Don't be your own worst enemy. Don't be your own worst enemy. We have plenty of enemies already. Most of them self-inflicted, so try not to screw yourself. All right, just taking a step back. Taking a looky-see. Alrighty, I think I want to shift my blues here. I'm working with blue and green mostly right this second. I think I'm going to shift to a purple purpley tone. Ooh, that was a little maybe too purpley. Throw a little phthalo blue in it, maybe a touch of white to bring that color back out so I can see what it looks like. And that doesn't look too bad. I'm gonna leave that purple stroke. Who cares? It'll give a little variation. Now I probably made it too light. Not getting that contrast I was looking for. There we go. That's much better. I got the dog's butt here. I might actually shorten that up a little bit. His booty is hanging out a little too much. And then I'll reintroduce the highlight up higher. Yeah. Just trying to build depth, interest. Some medium would probably help with this, honestly. I'm just trying to skirt by without it right now. But we'll be mixing some medium up, I think, for... Need some juice to make the paint flummy. All right. Heck yeah. Every little stroke is a victory. If I get quiet, it's just because I'm having a focus moment. Be the brush, be the brush. No, it's funny. You'll just see stuff like you didn't even notice before that, like right away, like instantaneously. I'm like, maybe I'll darken up this foot. Obliterate it. It's going into shadow anyway. We don't need any detail on that foot. It's just implied. You know it's back there. And I had no intention of putting toes on it or anything. It's getting blocked by the grass. I'm trying to create separation between this leg and this leg. I might even actually have to go in here and lighten up some values just so it feels like it's fitting behind this guy a little bit more. So maybe we do that right now. It's gonna be a little tricky. This is gonna take a while to get right, but I've got a little waste blue on my brush, mix it with a little magenta. Maybe get a little bit of that waste blue back in there. This is gonna be way too light. Watch, I can already tell. Oh, it's nice and desaturated though right there. That's cool, that works. Now I'm gonna have to darken that up or it's just gonna look totally wrong. Throw in a little bit more magenta, touch more blue. In fact, I should probably cast it towards blue even more. Oh, a little yellow got in there and grayed it out, but that's not a bad thing. That'll actually probably help. Wow, that stayed lighter than I expected. It's okay. Darken that up a little bit more. Let's see. Ooh, too dark. Get it right eventually. One would hope. Oh, that's a little better. As much as I want to feel like sfumato, like where you have Da Vinci's term for soft, flowy shadows going into dark. It's a little bit of that here, just a little. We'll work on that effect as we go. Like we'll have a nice soft transition between all of these little areas as they flow into each other. Just trying to create some distance between this leg and the leg behind it a little bit. Perspective's a little messed up, but that's okay. That's why I don't like painting in straight lines. It's hard to argue with a curve. It's easier to argue with an edge. And I think that's where the term edginess comes from. If you have an edge, it's a confluence of 2 points. So there's a point to be argued. With a circle, how do you argue with a circle? There's no point. There you go. Yeah, that was a little bit of bullshit artist philosophy for you right off the cuff. Making it up as we go. Just like this painting. It's not bullshit. It's true. At least it's true right now in the moment. And it's funny how fast time is flying because we're almost up to 40 minutes already and I really need to keep this short. So I'll probably stop already. It sucks. It didn't get very far. Ooh, that's kind of a desaturated purpley color going into there. Kind of like it. Just throw it in here. Whatever makes something look bluer. If you have a blue area and you want to make it look bluer, put a little complementary color next to it and it'll intensify it. That's kind of what I'm doing with this kind of washed out, really gray purple. Just putting it next to some of these greens up here. And you won't even notice this from far away. It'll mix in your eye. And it'll just create kind of a pleasant transition. These are all the fun little tricks you learn from making a lot of mistakes. And just painting a lot. You learn all these little trickaroos. Stay hungry. Watch a lot of art videos. Used to be, you know, growing up, I had to go hunt down VHS tapes and shit to, you know, pre-internet or even in the early ages of the internet. Our internet speeds on a modem were terrible. If you wanted to watch 5 minutes of video, it took all fucking night to download. So, you know, getting a hold of really high quality art you know, instructional videos wasn't easy unless you were a part of a service or went somewhere to rent them, which is what I used to do. And now we have this wealth of hundreds of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of artists, all sharing a community and giving each other's advice. We're all getting better together. That's what it's all about. Empowerment through the community. It's probably way too dark for that area. It's okay. Just trying to suck some life into this. It's such a dark hole, and I knew it would be. It was the whole I talk about the entire time I'm making it a dark hole. In the other videos, you'll hear me talking about, yeah, this looks terrible, but just you wait. It'll look really good once we start pulling the light back out. And I am pulling the light back out very, very subtly, though. It's a slow buildup, you know, and then you pick and choose your battles, you know. You'll come back in here and at the end really push things at the end. You know, what do you really want to jump out at the viewer, and what do you want to recede and not catch as much attention? This loop of grass looks a little awkward. This purple, I don't know what I'm going to do with this purple. I just wanted this purple in here. These pink and purple tones, I'm not sure. Yeah, those are the little things I set up for myself that leave me wondering and scratching my chin sometimes. I like it. I wanted it there. I wanted that color there, and I wanted that flow of that color there, but I'm not entirely 100% sure exactly what I'm going to do with it. Not yet. No, this is pretty grayed out purple I just added. Oh yeah, very, very subtle. It's like a lavender. I like it. Just going in here and adding a little bit of that. Did I know I was going to do that? No, it's instinctive. Since we're working out of the noggin today, a lot of this is instinctive. I always work on my noggin, even if I'm using photo references, which is probably going to happen a lot more on this channel than I would normally ever do. I hate looking at photo reference. It just feels like I'm selling myself short. Ooh, yeah, that purple, that little grayed out purple that we just had, just threw it into this little area, and it's just wonderful. Oh yeah, at least I think it's wonderful. We'll see in the end, huh? Excuse me, sorry about that. All right. Yeah. Let's try confident expression with your strokes. I'm getting a lot better at that. Just bam, let it live, you know. Throw it in there. Try and do it in a way that you don't have to mess with it too much later. That's a really pinky tone. See how that looks? Oh yeah, it's really nice. Just it's a really nice subtle. Just realized the volume on my own stream is on barely. It's starting to annoy me. I just noticed that. It's kind of subliminal. All right, maybe that's a little light. It's okay. Everything's always okay. Just gotta keep telling yourself that. Because if you have the confidence and the experience, which you can only have if you have the confidence, and you can only have the confidence if you have the experience, it's like a catch-22. But as I've alluded to earlier, pressure and time makes it happen. I want to kind of clean up. I'm going for a more pink. I have a little dirty green in my brush still. Going into a nice pink here. It's a little fleshy. Maybe cleaning up. Oh, that's perfect saturation. Just nailed that. I think I'm going to end this right here, actually. So I have this, I don't know what it is. Going into his tail, it's just a distraction. I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to switch brushes, actually. So I have so I can keep this one purple and pink. I'm going to use another one to get a little dirty, so I can pull this back a bit. Because this is screwing up my composition. I want his tail, knocking it back just a touch. Okay, cool. And then I will come back in here. I'm just setting this up, so I'm determining where I really want this to end. And then I'll come back with the colors behind it and fill those back in. So it feels like there's never any interruption. Fill. And this will have to be refined later. I can see that I made this correction here right now, but no biggie. Okay. Okie dokie. And go. Yeah, there we go. Try to carve his tail back out. Make the dark so you can see the light. I just try and get as much done as I can on a painting until it's just unworkable. You know, when this gets too sticky everywhere, then I'm really gonna have to put it away, which is happening here in the next few minutes. It's going back on the wall for a minute. And then we're gonna pull something else out of the collection to grind on tonight. I know this, even just watching me paint as an observer, as a viewer, takes patience, much less doing it. So you're gonna have to just get used to the pace if you want to follow me of us just grinding away on these fairly complicated compositions. I think fairly complicated anyway. It's hard for me to figure them out. cause me no end of headaches and joy. Apparently I get joy out of frustrating myself. But in the end, it's all worth it. It always feels worth it. And I am seriously not one to half-ass anything. I might not be 100% if I'm rushing a piece for a show sometimes. But if that piece doesn't sell, I'll take it back to my studio and rework it. But that's still kind of a cop-out. I should just have all my ducks in a row. It's just I feel sometimes that things look better sometimes when they're rougher. A lot of artists will talk about that. As you render stuff, you know, you get so into your state of mind. You know, you get so focused, so in the zone, that you end up just driving and driving and driving and going and going and going. Sometimes you lose your direction. So you have to pull over on the side and look at your map. Sort of take a step back. There's all kinds of stuff in here that, I mean, that needs to be pulled back out. Like I lost my dog here because I'm trying to reestablish all the shadows. I thought the shadows looked pretty weak, and they're still weak. I still need to come in here, and I know it sounds crazy, I still need to darken more. This one stroke is gonna fucking drive me crazy, so I might do something with that. I was just trying to set a master stroke that all the strokes next to it are going to start following, and I want this to kind of look like it's coming at you. So that's a bit of a challenge. That's fun. Trying to figure that mess out. And so how you'll do that is theoretically putting shorter, darker strokes into this one long stroke, and you'll see as we go. Just going back in and a little dark, a little light. Alrighty. See, this area is too busy. I've got all these dark areas and light areas coming down into this other piece of foliage. So I'm just going to blend all that right now, because it's just easier on the eye. Let's make all that disappear. Perfect. Not really, but good enough. Good enough for now. Yeah. As much as you can, you want to solve as many arguments with your own eye and your own mind with a piece before you put it away. That way, when you pull it back out, it's a little easier to appraise what you're going to do next, you know? So if I have a big gaping flaw in something, I'll usually try and figure it out a little bit before I let it sit. But sometimes you have to just let it sit. You have to, it has to be ready and prime for the next time. I just made a rhyme. All right, and I'm almost out of time. All right, and like right through here, it's definitely going to need a lot more dark, because these are really foreground, and these are actually probably should be a lot bigger. But it's okay, I'm just establishing that there are going to be these things here. It's kind of like making a note. I'm sketching. I always feel like I'm just sketching and drawing with paint. I mean, a brush is just really an extension of your hand. It's just a bigger pencil, you know, with a little bit more character. At least that's the way I look at it. Still shade with pencil, right? Well, you shade with paint easier, so. Building depth, building depth. Trying to make sure that where it crosses stuff, it doesn't look awkward. And yeah, it's developing, you know, and I don't want to overwork it, but I am going to try and render the foreground foliage a bit. So what I mean is will have big, and I kind of started right here actually. I do it in my own little abstract-y kind of way, just implying the texture of the cells that make up the grass. As crazy as that sounds, going in there and drawing the cells, but no, just the basic structure. It's like, you know, for example, just putting a simple leaf pattern. If you have a leaf, you know, and it's in the foreground on a plant, then you might want to indicate a little tiny bit of the veins and the turn on the leaf and the light hitting that leaf and the light shining through that leaf. And those are all things that I'm trying to get better at all the time. And in the foreground, you might want to render that a little bit. Whereas in the background, middle ground, you can imply it. The more detail you put into this foreground foliage, the more it'll sell what's in back of it. So like, for example, here, not pertaining to the point I was just trying to make, I need to darken this area here. That pink should be more purple. And then we're going to call it done for now. I have shit to do other than paint. That I really need to do is obligations, don't we all? And then we will return and grab another big thing to play with. And that should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Spend a couple hours again together again later. To anybody who can sit through my incessant rambling. Yeah, just so much more to do. Hours and hours and hours and hours left to do, but even just that quick 40-minute like messing around, it's 40 more minutes I don't have to do later. So just gives me more and more confidence, as I said, as I put this thing up on the wall, that when I bring it back down, I'll be like, hell yeah! Get all excited about the next thing I want to fix. Constant fixing, constant correction, constant rendering. And yeah. I'm actually surprised. I'm tired. I'm really tired right now. So tired, but I'm running on almost no sleep, but I'm just so excited to get back to work. Maybe I'll wear myself out and be able to go to bed early tonight, but I seriously doubt that. It never works out. The more tired I get, the more my brain starts wandering, getting more creative. I can be exhausted. I think this is probably pretty common for a lot of people. You know, you're exhausted, you put your head in your pillow, and that's right when the fucking circus starts turning. Start hearing all that bullshit going on in your brain. Worrying about things you can't control that are in the future, and planning and worrying about shit. We all do it. Alrighty. Well, we're almost at an hour, actually. We're at 50 minutes. So we're going to cut it here. I need to go cook. And then we'll come back and we'll cook some more with paint. So yeah, you know, I'm going to go through my little stack over here. Over here, you can probably catch a little bit of it. point my TV, you'll see my setup here. It's kind of cool. You can see us doing what we're doing right now in the delay. Yes, I have my TV ceiling mounted at the... Yeah, I don't want to show too much of my room. It's a mess right now. I just always have a lot going on. And then you can see just the edge of a 6x4 over there. We might grab that guy. I'm not sure. We're going to... After dinner, we're going to go through the stack and see what excites us. It could be anything. But it's probably... I was thinking about doing black and white today, but no way. We have a lot of color out. And, well, I could, of course, just cover this and do some more monotone work. We're not going to. We're going to try and use our paint that we have out here. And I'll keep all of our brushes dirty. I'm washing them out with thinner, of course, but I mean, they were in color. So we're going to keep them in color. We're not going to soap them up because I'm going to be back here in like 3 hours. I like to cook, and because I'm a cook who cares, I'm going to take my time on that. Have a little post-dinner digestion break, and then pull my ass off the couch and get to work. Let's pick this guy up. This is the fun of wireless, and again, bear with me while we're wireless. We might have some breakups. So you'll hopefully be able to... I need to tap that. All right. Keep tapping it to get it to focus. For some reason the autofocus is not autofocusing very well. I have a ton of light going on in here. In fact, I've got this 8-foot 4-bay array with fluorescence. I have fluorescence and LEDs going all over the place, and I have a lot of my lights off. Turn on some more of these lights and you can just see instantly how much brighter this got. So here, let's do it before and after. So that's with them off. That's how we've been working. The reason I'm doing that is when I have too much light on here, with digital cameras, for whatever reason, it blows out the sensor when you have a spot of white. I don't know why. Sometimes it can give you a benefit. People think you spent a long time making a glow in a white area. They're like, how in the hell did you get that glowy effect? Camera did it for me. Can't take credit for that, but I'm pretty good at getting glows anyway. So, and then when I was working last night, if you go back to the earlier stream from yesterday, those are some of those kind of thicker yellow strokes I was trying to avoid when I was glazing this background. And I actually just drew some more of these in. Quite a few of these are actually from a couple hours ago. I usually jump out of bed and start just picking at stuff. It's a good way to get your motor running. And yeah, I'll create more gradation through here, make it live a little bit better. It's a little gaudy right there. That's okay. I will come in and just bam, throw in some really contrasty color and saturation just to set a kind of a post in the ground, a marking spot, a note, you know, to be refined later, because that'll be like my brightest orange here, my brightest orange here. I've been working in this area a touch. It got a little messy in my core shadow here. We're gonna go back and resaturate and tone that up. I started adding a little bit more saturation through here in the turn, which is the core shadow. It's usually where you'll find your highest saturation points. And I like to make mine, yeah, like holy shit saturated. And then give it a nice cushion with a lot of pastels, which is something that I'm trying to work more into my work. This is real, I don't want to say it's real recent. I've always tried to do this, but I'm just getting a lot better at it. I've said before that I can often tell the difference between a male and a female artist's work, you know, without, you know, knowing who it is. Most of the time, I would say at least 70% of the time, right off the bat, like instantly, just because of how color's used. Men tend to go with more saturated color overall. And ladies tend to stick more mid-tone to pastel and then have some saturation. And I'm trying to find kind of a happy middle ground between the two. Because, yeah, I'm a dude and I like saturated color, but I really fucking love the work of female artists. And it's a really hard thing to capture because women have such a natural, I think, sense of color. Women can actually see color far better than men can, usually, as an average. Most people don't know that, but 50% of men have some kind of color blindness. Case in point, my brother is red-green colorblind. That's very common in men. Luckily, I dodged that bullet. But I try to use my intellect with color theory to try and do things that my instincts maybe wouldn't allow me to do. My instinct as a dude is to try and just throw a bunch of saturated color into everything, but it just ends up looking flat. So I mean, what I mean by using my intellect is I'm trying to think outside my comfort zone and think pastel and think more calm colors. Like yesterday I was throwing in some kind of like more grayed out warmer colors that helps those more saturated colors shine. And getting into the base here, rendering. That's going to take a long time. It's going to take several sessions, and it's going to be freaking awesome when we're done. And those feet, we're just starting to render those out a little bit, that foot. And then I'm going to, on the next session, I think I'm going to start establishing the hands better. I kind of have like a side profile. I haven't gotten the other fingers. In fact, the hand looks a little small. I'll make it a little bigger. Maybe change the angle. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Change the angle on it, put this hand in so I can start refining it. And yeah, this canopy needs a ton of work. But it's looking great. You know, overall, I am really happy with where we're at. And, yeah. I wonder how this will work. I'm doing an experiment here. We're going to do a rotate screen thing. And my camera just said something. I don't know what that means. So I'm probably just screwing you guys up as you're viewing. Yeah, I am. I can see. Yeah, screwing it up. But if you have a monitor that can rotate, you can see it in a little bit more detail. Anyway, go back to norm, and yeah, okay, so this guy, I might pick at a little tiny bit after dinner just for fun and as warm-up, and we'll see what we have next. It'll be a lot of fun. I can't wait. Charge the gear, and we'll get ready for tonight's session. So this was just a little bit of, I had to do it because it's so fun. I'm having so much fun painting lately, and let's keep on trucking, huh? All right. Well, you guys have fun, and we'll continue this in a little bit. All right, bye. Oh, this is going to be my catchphrase. I know that a lot of YouTubers do this, but here's going to be mine. At least my current working one. Make a beautiful day.